Today I am building these tower speakers with a 4-inch full range driver and 6.5-inch side firing subwoofer. In a previous project, see the link to the video top right or in the description box below, I designed and built these full range speakers. Even though the bass response was very good for such a small driver, I felt that to get the full potential from this driver, I needed to add something that could handle the bass and give us a fuller response across the entire pass band of approximately 30 Hz to 20,000 kHz. The Mark Audio CHR70 full range drivers are really very good, and I think they perform even better than many tweeters in the higher frequencies. Mid-range is very sweet sounding, and if we can just add that bass, then we will have a system that can perform very well and compete with speakers that might be much more complex. This brings me to the Tangband 6.5-inch subwoofer, a tried and tested excellent performer for the size and price. The design is a tower speaker around 950mm high, so still fairly small and compact. It has two volumes, one sealed for the full range driver and a larger volume with a front facing slot port for the side firing subwoofer driver. The construction of the cabinet is very straightforward, and I'm using 18mm or 3/4 inch birch plywood for all the panels. To give the cabinet some aesthetic appeal, I am making the baffle with strips of plywood and gluing them together so that you can see the pattern of the plywood. The sides of the cabinet is then veneered with Etimo wood. I like this patterned plywood look, but I understand that not everyone will. So if you do want to build these for yourself, then the baffle can simply be replaced with a normal plywood panel and veneered, if you do not like the patterned plywood. Finishing for any speaker is always very subjective, and I try to make the build in such a way that various finishes can be applied to suit most tastes. With that said then, you can find the comprehensive build plans for this speaker design and many others on my website at soundblab.net, or follow the link in the description below. The speaker cabinet slants back about 5 degrees, and I'm setting up my mitre saw to cut the slant here in the side panels. I just want to take a quick minute to talk about today's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community where you can learn real-life skills taught by people who actually work in these fields. In the last few months, I have tried to improve my social media skills, and with Skillshare, I've been able to do just that with their learning path, Social Media Expression, Create for Instagram and TikTok. I followed a course by Halise Narvaez called Video for Instagram. Tell an engaging story in less than a minute. And I made a great little story on my Instagram channel about my latest project. The course really helped me to find inspiration, pick a theme, learn visual techniques and editing tips to make the story engaging and fun. I am quite excited to continue with this learning path on Skillshare to learn even more, and so can you. So the first 1,000 of my viewers to sign up using the link in the description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare, so you can also start exploring your creativity today. Thank you Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to it. Whilst applying a finish to the enclosures, and before I go to take measurements of the drivers so that we can design a potential crossover or compensation circuit, you may ask, why would you need components on the full range driver? Well, once you put a driver into an enclosure, it's often perfectly flat frequency response, it's not so flat, and we have to apply some components to compensate for that. I will explain what I have done in the next section of the video and why. So when we bring in the curves into XM, the red line will be the full range driver and the yellow the tank band side firing driver. The great thing of the subwoofer being side firing is that we get a very even roll off, which means that we do not really have to apply a crossover filter to this driver, and it simplifies the crossover a little bit. However, when we look at the response from the full range driver, we will have to apply some baffle step compensation from around 7 or 800 Hz where we have a rising response. We also have the peak to deal with at approximately 13,000 Hz. When we look at the sum response of these drivers without any crossover components in the system, this will be the blue line. So with the subwoofer in place, we do get the baffle step of the full range driver filled in slightly. However, I still think we can get a better response if we apply some filtering and add a few components to do so. We also still need to fix the peak at 13,000 Hz. The impedance is also looking good, but I would like to get it closer to a more even 4-ohm load across the entire range. Firstly, I can add a baffle step compensation circuit to the full range driver in the form of a resistor and inductor in parallel in series with the driver. So having switched that on, we see the top end of the full range driver drop, and essentially I'm trying to get the overall SPL level of the two drivers in line with each other. If we do not do this, we will lose out on some of the bass output, with the full range driver being more sensitive than the bass driver, and the sound becomes unbalanced and fatiguing in the mid-range and high frequencies. Then, in order to protect the full range driver from too much output in the lower frequencies, I apply a high pass filter in the form of a capacitor in series with the driver. This drops the rise we had to be more level with the bass driver, and will reveal a flatter response in the low, mids and upper bass. These changes made our impedance curve rise a bit, and to get closer to our average 4-ohm load, I will add a filter in the form of a resistor and capacitor in parallel to the driver to compensate for this rise. So if I deactivate the circuit, you see the impedance rise again, but it does not influence the frequency response. And here it is turned back on again, and only the impedance is affected. Finally, I want to sort out the peak at 13,000 Hz, since this will cause a very fatiguing and harsh sound at the top end of our frequency range. To do this, we include a parallel notch filter with the driver. This is a resistor, inductor and capacitor. When I activate the circuit, you can see how the peak has dropped. I can still play around with these values, but I'm happy with this result for now. So I hope that this gave you some good insight in how I would go about to design a crossover or filter for a speaker. But let's now continue to assembling this filter circuit, and then we can do a measurement later on to see if our design translates correctly into the real world. Looking at the frequency responses on the horizontal axis, we see good overall on-axis response and an even roll-off on the 15-degree off-axis. The vertical axis responses are also looking good with no noticeable dips or peaks on the 15-degree off-axis. The waterfall plot is also looking clean and the impedance curve matches what we've modeled very closely, staying very close to an overall nominal 4-ohm load. I enjoyed this build and love the way these sound. The bass extension is really very impressive and the entire speaker just gives you a very full presentation of almost the entire pass band from 30Hz to 20,000 Hz. Remember, you can also build these. Just click on the link in the description box to the build plans on our website at soundblab.net. If you want to support my channel further, please join as a patron or YouTube member. Links are in the description box below. Thank you all for watching and until next time, adios. Let's now listen to a few tracks recorded on these speakers. This is just a basic demo and best listened to through a set of good head or earphones.
I could feel it in my bones. That shit of doubt hanging around, God knows. 'Cause darling, there was nothing right when all you seem to do is lie. Those days are gone, I'm walking tall while you're alone. You tell me you're scared. You tell me you're weak, but I know you're stronger than what you think.